Sometimes as songwriters, we will finish a song and then be overall proud of it, but somehow in the end it just feels like it falls a little bit flat. There's just something missing. It just somehow loses us a little bit, and we're not really sure why it is. And in my opinion, there are two main song sections or problem areas where this tends to arise. Let's talk about it. So the problem area number one, or the problem section, is the second verse. I think there are two main reasons why the second verse can really fall flat. And the first is that it's just the hardest lyrics to get right. It's hardest to identify what the purpose of a second verse is lyrically, and sometimes we end up just repeating ourselves from the first verse, just saying sort of different words to say the same thing. And one of the reasons that it's so hard to get second verse lyrics right is that often we have only two verses in a song, and in that case, usually the only song section that we actually are already constrained when it comes to the melody and when it comes to the amount of syllables we can have per line, and the meter of the line, and even the rhyme scheme is going to be a second verse, because the chorus is probably going to have the same lyrics every time and the bridge only plays once. And if you're wondering about what is the role of the second verse, I just can't write a good one because I don't really know what its job is. Well, often, especially if your song is telling a story, usually that second verse operates as sort of the rising action when you think of a plot, say in a book, right? The first verse is setting up the story, the second verse is the rising action of the story, and usually, especially if you have only two verses, it's pretty common for the bridge to sort of act as the finale to the story, because the chorus is usually handling thematic elements and not really telling a story per se, right? It's sort of the zoomed out, let's talk about the general theme we're talking about here, let's talk in generalities. This is the part where pretty much everybody can resonate with. So that sort of leaves the bridge to actually be the part that finishes out the story. So think of your second verse as, generally speaking, the rising action. Another issue that can arise when it comes to writing a second verse is often in the arrangement. If you don't change the arrangement up enough so that the second verse really feels different than the first verse, where it doesn't just feel like it's the exact same arrangement, the exact same everything, but just the lyrics changed, then this can result in boring people who are listening. You don't want to do this. You want to change it up a little bit. That doesn't mean that you can't play some of the same parts as the first verse. Of course, you're still going to have the same chords as the first verse 99 times out of 100, but you do want to make sure you're changing up the arrangement, adding new instruments, maybe having the drums play a different part. Whatever it is, you want to make sure to change it up, because unlike your chorus, which has the advantage of being the main hook of the song, and in theory, it's the part of the song that people kind of want to keep going back to and back to, in that case, you don't really need to change up each chorus that much, but you do really need to change up the verses because they are necessarily not the highlight of a song in most cases. I think the second main problem area or problem section where a song tends to fall flat is with the bridge. If your bridge falls flat, then it sort of just feels like there's this disappointing section in between the second to last chorus and the last chorus. You do not want this. If you think about it, most songs end up really having three different sections. You have your verses, you have your chorus, and then you also have your bridge. So take advantage of this. Be sure to change it up. Don't just make it feel like a disappointing afterthought to the chorus. Make it something that feels special. Make it something where people wish it wasn't a bridge that just played once. The bridge is often where an artist will change it up fairly significantly, changing the rhythm a lot, or they might even change to the relative minor key. So for example, if you're in the key of C major for the rest of the song, going to A minor for the bridge is something that's very, very common to do to really give it a different feel. Sometimes you'll go to cut time, and you can do things like changing the energy level by a significant amount. For example, if the chorus maybe isn't that huge of a chorus, you can make the bridge absolutely massive, or you can do something where it feels like the perceived rhythm of the bridge is significantly faster. Or you can go the other direction where you have this massive chorus and then you make the bridge really, really small. Maybe you just go all the way down to you strumming an acoustic guitar and singing when it comes to the bridge, and then grow back into the chorus. Whatever it is, be sure to take the opportunity of the bridge to really change things up. So I hope this was helpful to you. If you feel like your song is falling flat and you're not really sure where the problem is, be sure to be looking into these two sections, your second verse and your bridge. They are the most common culprits because most people do take the time to get a good chorus going, and everybody knows how important a chorus is. Nobody phones in a chorus, right? That's like, we know that that's the highlight of the song. And most people tend to not really phone in the first verse either. So usually where the problem areas arise are with the second verse, which is admittedly something that's very hard to get right, especially lyrically, and the bridge, which is the easiest section to take for granted, but instead we should consider it the X factor of our song. If you found this video helpful, be sure to drop a like. It helps me out with the YouTube algorithm. And if you're interested in learning more about the lyric side of things, be sure to check out songwritertheory.com/lyric checklist. It will teach you my 6 steps that I go through when writing lyrics, because there really shouldn't just be one step. It shouldn't just be you writing lyrics and then being like, I guess it's good, because that is how you set yourself up to fail, to have very unmemorable lyrics. I find the easiest way to make sure your lyrics are absolutely fantastic is to break it down into 6 separate steps. My personal favorite step, and the #1 step that I would make sure to check out right away, is the iterative lyric writing step, because that is the point that I think makes the biggest world of difference in your lyric writing. It helps to take a section that you have where you feel like, oh, this is pretty good, but it just doesn't feel perfect, and really helps you hone in on all the different little areas and words that you can improve to make sure that that ends up being a fantastic section and not just an okay one. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you next time.